Good afternoon. Thank you for joining this Cortona3D What's New webinar focused on the release 14.0. Today we will go through major new changes and features. However, if you are interested in finding out a complete list of all the new things, please refer to the release notes which are available on our website. If you do have a question during this webinar, please feel free to ask it using the questions and answers. The first exciting feature that I would like to demonstrate to you is the automatic generation of host spline from the object gallery based on the existing static geometry. This feature allows you to quickly recreate various wires and cables based on the existing 3D geometry without the need to manually create control points as in the past. Now let me demonstrate you how easy it is to use this feature. In this example, I will substitute this static cable by our host spline object from the gallery. In the past, I would have created multiple control points and readjusted their positions to match this advanced curvature. Now, the new feature allows you to quickly generate host spline based on the existing static geometry. We go straight to the Auto Detect tab and select the item that we would like to recreate, like so. Now it already created a new host spline. If required, we can also increase the smoothness of the curvature of the created host spline by increasing the number of control points. Let's now close this window and attach this host spline to this plug. I will select the last control point and attach it like so. Now, as I move the plug, the host spline will move as well, as it is a flexible object. The next small but very handy feature is the ability to copy and paste the parameters of parametric objects from the gallery. Here I will create a new panel text and insert some text. I want this panel text to look exactly like my original panel text. Now, instead of trying to match all these parameters manually, what I can do is just copy and paste them, like so. Right-click in the item tree or item list, copy object parameters. Now I locate my second panel text and paste parameters, but I can specifically select those ones that I actually need here, like so. Let's move on. A couple of useful features. The first one is the addition of new background related settings that allow you to either use the solid color when you're generating raster illustration, use current 3D view background colors, or use transparency as a background, as you can see here on the slide. There is also a change in the way raster illustrations are generated, what is taken into account. As you can see, here we have a navigation cube, graphic safe area, and also item access, which are enabled at the moment. Now, if I generate raster illustration, all these elements will not be included on my illustration, which was not the case in the past. Another quite important change in logic of the image generation is that the original image size, that is width and height, they are both taken into account when you subsequently update illustration. In the past, upon update, only the currently set width and height of illustrations were taken into account. So if you had in the project several images, all of different sizes, Upon update, only single value currently set in the settings are taken into account. This is not the case anymore. Let's have a look at the example how this functionality now works. So here in Rapid Catalog, I have two identical IPC pages. Let's create a vector illustration for the first one. But first, let's check our image size settings, so width and height. Let's generate illustration like so. Now I go to my second IPC page, and for this illustration, I will use a very different width setting, like so. Now let's create illustration for this page as well, like so. And we'll run an update, but first I will just delete some geometry like this. Now let's update all our illustrations. Now bear in mind that at the moment we have a width of 500 millimeters. We should get the original width for the first illustration. Now let's check this out. Picture object, and here's the width, which is the original width that was taken when this illustration was captured in the first place. So that's the first one, and the second one. Here we should have our value of 500 millimeters. Now let's look at interface improvements. The order of items within assembly item in item tree can now be changed with drag and drop method. Previously, order of items within assembly item was fixed as defined in source data. Next, a special icon is shown next to a procedure step in procedure editor if it is linked to a document step. This allows to quickly find linked and unlinked steps. Finally, it is now possible to identify items referenced in the document and vice versa. Now let's have a look at other noteworthy changes. The first one is that we discontinued plugin-based HTML publications starting from this release. In all of the out-of-the-box specification components that you'll find in RapidAuthor applications, HTML5 is the only kind of HTML output that can be produced. The second change, you will find a new demonstration projects based on the drill and water pump in demo working spaces. Let's move on to our second subject, which is Cortona3D Editor Pro. And the first feature is the object highlighting. As you hover with your mouse over an object, it is being highlighted, as simple as that. This is particularly useful whenever you have multiple objects lying close to each other, overlapping each other possibly, and you are simply unaware which object you are about to select. So this prevents you from erroneously selecting the objects that you don't really want to select. This functionality also works with MetaFile Explorer. As you are hovering over objects in MetaFile Explorer, associated objects are highlighted on your canvas. If required, this feature can be turned off, and you can also change the color of the highlighting. Another small improvement in the user interface of 2D Editor Pro is the ability to hide and lock various objects in your MetaFile Explorer. On this illustration, I have a figure which is sitting below all other objects. Now, if I try to select an object, it is highly likely that I would accidentally actually select the figure. Also, as I try to drag select, that figure will also get included. Now, the lock allows me to exclude locked objects from being affected by selection. We can also completely disable the visibility of any object, like so. The next subject is data import. With this release, we are supporting the following new versions of the previously supported CAD formats. The next subject, Rapid Developer, and specifically Rapid Configuration. The first key new feature is the representations based on metadata. What this allows you is to map metadata values with your representations. So instead of manually assigning representations in RapidAuthor projects, you can do this via import profile. And the second very valuable new feature is the automatic linking of items with existing DPL table rows. In Rapid Catalog, whenever you have imported your DPL table from Excel, for example, or perhaps you manually created your table or imported it from another CAD file without 3D geometry, if you would like then to import another geometry and link your 3D items with those DPL table lines, you can do this with this new feature. Rapid configuration allows you to specify which common metadata should be used for matching. Typically, this is part number, and also select whether a hierarchy of the DPL table should be taken into account.
Now I give floor to Alexander Grafov, who will add additional words regarding augmented reality.
Hello everyone, I'm going to explain you one more function in our new release and demonstrate you one use case when manager reviews newly created manual using augmented reality capability. So we call this function augmented reality preview, and just imagine that author opens document, adds augmented reality positioning, and then checks with iOS the result, the animation. Right here you can see we open edit augmented reality parameters in tools, and we can add the point which should be positioned in real scene. Then we change the publication publish options to iOS to be able to visualize it in Cortona3D viewer for iOS. And the last step is also just saves the project and publishes this document as a file to his file system. This is the first part of the scenario, and as a result, this author is able to send this publication for review to his manager by email, right? He opens this file with mail client and sends the message to person who has the iOS tablet or phone. This person opens this file with Cortona3D application viewer directly from email, and immediately can position it in his room in specific place and preview all animation in real, let's say, environment, right? So it should be quite visible, quite, let's say, clear if it works properly. Do they have some mistakes here? And he can give a good feedback to author regarding the result. This is a quick preview feature which allows you to, let's say, to work more efficiently with Rapid manual. So, and again, we not positioning this geometry directly to the device. We're not provide here, we do not provide here any tracking function, right? We rely on our partners here. If you would like to use in production the augmented reality application, but for review, it's quite efficient and interesting feature. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander. Now, let's have a questions and answers session. You are very welcome to submit your questions to questions and answers interface of the Microsoft Teams. We will review them and answer right now.
George, could you kindly open the client of Teams? Yeah. I see the question from DG.
The question from DJ is 3D Viewer plugin is required in PLM integrated environment. I suppose that you're referring to the slide whereby I explained that we are no longer supporting plugin-based HTML publications. So plugins are not required in PLM integrated environment. The HTML5 publications that we use, they use the Cortona3D Solar library, as it is called, that can be executed by any modern web browser on any modern hardware. Hope this answers your question. Another question, is there any method to show animation for already modeled cable? A clear routing path with animation, starting from one connecting point to another connecting point. Now, if the cable that you're referring to was created in the past using the host spline object from the gallery, then indeed you can create a fluid like animation. So it should be the host spline object from the gallery. Now, there is a tab called flow, as far as I remember, which allows you to enable that animation. Now the question is there any update regarding the macro creation? It would be nice if you could clarify what you're referring to here, and maybe I suppose your question is quite complex to answer here, so if you could drop us an email to support@cortona3d.com, we will answer it.
Sorry, am I correct to understand that the question is related to the animation for already modeled cable? This is a question about the conversion of CAD data to our smart object. Probably I missed something, but it seems to me the answer was not, or the question was not answered. I just try to clarify.
If the cable that you're referring to is the static cable coming from the CAD source, then animation cannot be applied to it. Animation can only be applied to the host spline from the gallery, which starting from this release can be auto-generated based on the static cable.
So that's definitely the first use case which George demonstrated at the beginning of our presentation, how we convert the CAD data based object to our host spline and how you are able to animate it. Now it's possible.
Okay, we are happy to answer any other questions that you may have. Just a quick comment on the previous question, how to show cable routing animation for host spline, which was answered by Sergey. The animation property was added in the previous winter release. In this release, we added a capability to create host spline based on the static geometry and the static cable or wiring of some sort. Animation was in the previous release. Another question, how to edit object color when you select color option. Well, if you're referring to the static item, you can use the material library to apply different color transparency to an item, or in the context of Rapid Manual, You can use set color action to override the color of an item. Another question, whether we support IGS and step formats. Yes, we do support these formats. If you're wondering which formats, CAD formats are supported, you can check them on our website, Cortona3D.com. Under downloads section, there's a file called supported CAD formats, which lists all the formats that are supported. The last question from DJ, I'm not sure, to be honest, what you're referring to right now. Could you just drop us an email with sample project or screenshots attached? We will answer. Unfortunately, it's not quite clear what exactly you mean here. A question from Mark Hill, what kind of formats it supports? I understand you're referring to CAD formats that we import into RapidAuthor project. If you go to our website, Cortona3D.com, downloads section, you will see a list of various supplementary materials. Among them is supported CAD formats PDF file, which lists all the formats.
George, probably you can just demonstrate the site of Cortona and where he can find this information.
Okay, let me try that. Support downloads. Supported CAD formats. Here it is.
So in brochures, you can find this document with a comprehensive list of supported format.
Okay, another question. I see Michael is answering. Okay, it seems like we don't have any more questions. However, you're very welcome to send them if you are struggling with something. Support at Cortona3D.com is our support email.
This concludes our webinar. Now, if you would like to find out the list of all the changes and new features in this release, which we haven't covered today, you will find them on the release notes on our website. Also on our YouTube channel, you can find recordings on how key new features can be used. Finally, all of the features are fully documented. You will find PDF documents as well as the embedded help in all of the RapidAuthor applications. We also have online knowledge base on our products. I thank you for joining this webinar.